Hello guys, welcome to part 4 of the Motorola 51X12 radio. To begin this radio off, I want to get some guesses on what this Folgers can is going to be used for. In an upcoming video, this will play a major part, and start guessing now what you think this might be used for. And we'll find out here in probably a week or two, maybe a little longer, closer to a month, but it'll be coming up, so make your guess now. Meanwhile, back at the bench, I got the old Motorola up and running Sunday night. It was kind of a combination of my own doing that allowed this thing not to work anymore. I was taking the comments from other YouTube viewers and some other people I was polling as to what happened here, because you'd energize the radio, the dial light would light, the tubes, the filaments would light, and then the dial light would start to dim back down again, like it was loading, but it wouldn't get no brighter. You had no volume, you had no sound, you had nothing. We had no voltage going over to our multi-sectional electrolytic capacitors in the power section, power supply section, but this one here was charging. The other one wasn't. So scratching my head, what the heck's wrong with this? So I cut out my capacitor. I spent all that time stuffing, restuffing, cut my ground lead off. I'm going to have to solder that back on. Tested, and retested, and quadruple tested that capacitor, because I thought maybe I might have got a positive hooked to a negative. Something was wrong in there. Every time I tested it, it was just fine. So I thought, well, alright, I'll hook everything back up with some gator wires and see what the heck's going on. Still nothing. Well, there's one more thing that I replaced that I didn't, I had checked, but I thought I'll clip it out, and what it is was this 1 megohm resistor. Brown, black, blue, 1 megohm. And what that replaced was another thought to be 1 megohm Central Labs, which this is an old dog bone resistor. Brown, black, white. So we look over here on our little chart, and we see brown 1, black, the multiplier is 0, or 1, 0, and 9. Our multiplier is 9. I think I did that right. Well, that comes out to be about 1 megohm. But when I tested this, that's not what this thing reads. Here's 2 megohm range. I barely get anything. 200K. About 20K this thing starts to come to life. So I thought, well, I'll put it back in the circuit and see what happens. And when I did, the radio came right back to life with no problem. But this is not a 1 megohm resistor. This does not read correctly. That's old, or something's bad with it, because this new one, when I put it in, I got no reaction of it whatsoever. So I took that old resistor back out, this old one here, and I bought a resistance substitution box a while back. I thought, well, I'll get this out and try it. And I'll start high at 10K and work my way back down until I find something that works. So I hooked my electrolytics back up via gator wires to where everything went. Started off with, I worked down from 10K down to about 330. It wasn't filtering very well. You had a lot of hum in the volume. So I stepped it up to 470. That seemed a little better. 680 was even better, and it was pretty happy about 1 kiloohm. And I actually have 1 kiloohm. I have half watts. The half watts get pretty warm. These little guys right here. And this one right here is a 1 watt. I think that's probably what I'll put in there. So let me show you what I did. We'll start everything back over where we were at. And our variac is set over here. We'll go ahead and turn it on. We'll turn on our radio. You can see the dial light comes right on. By the way, the gator clips are just on here because this thing's broken loose. It needs to be re-coned, and that kind of settles down the vibration while the radio's playing. So right now we have 10K in this circuit with this radio. Can just barely hear it. So we'll step it down to 6.8. It's getting there. 4.7. Notice the dial light got brighter. I'll step it down to 3.3. You can reduce the volume back at this point. It's 2.2K. Step the volume back again. It's 1.5K. A little bit of difference. And here's 1K. Still got that funky spot in that volume control. I think we got a... I'm not sure about the carbon trace volume potentiometer on this thing or what it is. It's got like a dead spot in it. Right there. But it is working again. So we know 1 kiloohm is what it needs. And with 1 kiloohm in there, all the voltages read correct for the plate, the screen, everything on the tubes is correct. I let this thing play for about 15 minutes the other night, and nothing got hot besides the half-watt resistor I'm going to replace with a 1 watt. That should cure that. Give a little bit of leadway anyway. So everything seems to be happy. Let's go ahead and shut us off. The solder gun's over here warming up. And let's pretty up this mess a little bit. Okay, kiddies, everything's been reattached to where it was at. I had to put some heat shrink tubing on my ground wire. A little stiff than what it was. I had to bend it back where it belonged. Got my positive lead to the positive side of this end of this capacitor. Remember, we have two 22 microfarad capacitors sitting in here back to back, and the ground from this one is routed inside the tube to a common ground, which comes over here to this common ground, which grounds to the common on the side of the oscillator coil. See, in this radio there's two grounds. There's a chassis ground and there's a common B plus or B minus ground. See, chassis ground, common minus B, B minus. So we got all that taken care of. We got a brand new 6-foot line cord on this jobby. We replaced all the questionable capacitors except for this RF choke assembly. I'll leave that alone. That seems to work pretty good. That's this guy right here. It's basically just a wire attached to the on-off switch that comes over and wraps around a capacitor and goes right to ground. This capacitor is in the circuit, but it's not high voltage applied to it. It's just kind of like a choke to ground. It's kind of probably to bleed off power, I suppose, or anything that might cross over into the RF. We're going to leave him alone. He's not showing signs of being weird yet. Another capacitor buried down in here. We replaced this one resistor right here. That was this guy right here. What he was, I don't know. Still don't know, don't care. It's out of there. That's our boneyard back here. Crusty, brittle wiring. So, there's a lot of nasty solder joints in here. I went back through and kind of touched them up. Big blobs of solder like somebody couldn't get to take, and just kept piling it on. And pretty rough to get some connections in some of these spots. New wiring. New wiring. This yellow wires, all the wires new that was replaced with this stuff right here. So, the moment of truth, let's give a listen, see what we got. I also checked the tubes while I had them out. I was going to replace the 50L6 audio output tube because it was acting kind of funky. I was getting some weird voltages off of it, but I put it in the tube tester. It was spot on. Replaced it with this one, put it in the radio, same weird voltages, tested it, spot on, so I put the original back in. It's just something that's evidently wired in the circuit that makes it act like that, but it operates just fine, it tests just fine. Tested all the tubes, the audio output tube, the rectifier tube, the detector AVC tube is this guy right here. This is a 12SQ7, SK7, I'm sorry, it's your IF amp. And all the way back around on the other side behind the dial over here is our 12SA7. That's our oscillator modulator tube. And everything checked out actually very well. It was all in the green. And there's not a single Motorola tube in this set. They've all been replaced with, I think there's a Kenrad, there's a General Electric, National Union. There's several National Unions in here. 3 out of 5 I think is National Union. So, let's start at the low end of the dial. I was getting some weird noise on the dial last night, and I kind of wonder if it was because I was hooked up to this resistance substitution box that was doing that. Because today it's not.
Roots and get rid of it. You see, but you've been in Washington too long to know that once this gets a foothold, once this new entitlement is fully implemented, the odds of ever repealing it are next to nil.
Oh yeah, no, I would say that realistically the best
it's hillbilly, but it works. That's a 55 KRC. The dial's off just a little bit, obviously.
Achievement. I think there's 4 things Coach has to look at real quick.
610 TBN out of Columbus. 55 is out of Cincinnati, of course.
Driven by the Jeff Weiler Automotive. JeffWeiler.com. 5,000 vehicles, 1 location. 700 WLW. Dan Carroll.
It's always good to hear that. You know you've done something right. You get WLW. About 90 miles south of me.
Coming to you from Maria Mitrione's Italian Market down in the Depot District. I was fishing down at the lake and no luck
that's out of
again.
Dayton.
Brown, so there'd be a lot greater capacity on the practice run. Big receiver, looks like a tight end, but the dude is fast. University.
Born baby Barnes went face to face with a congregation of
I'm not sure what's causing all the noise tonight. That wasn't there last evening. There was a music station by right in here.
Spring colors and screen fabrics at the original Overhead Door Company of Richmond. 411 Northwest F Street. Call 962-3032.
This is a Toys R Us news update. Here's Shane Colton.
Toys R Us and Babies R Us are cleared for another clearance blast.
3, 2, 1.
Still got that spot and that switch right
Save
there.
up to 70% on thousands of items throughout
It's
the
not
store,
there every time.
including toys, games, outdoor fun, baby gear, and more.
We have clearance. Toys R Us and Babies R Us. Why shop anywhere else for kids? Why?
Exclusions apply. Quantities limited. Visit Toys R Us for details.
Volume.
Plenty of sun to start the day again today. Some more clouds as we go into the afternoon, but ending up a little warmer than yesterday. High temperature of 78. Can't rule out a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots late tonight. Low temperature 64. And a pop-up shower or thunderstorm in a few places tomorrow. High temperature 80. From the Storm Center on News Center 7, meteorologist Rich Worthing for 101.7 The Point.
Easy come, easy go. That's just how you live. Oh, take it all, but you never give. Should've known you would.
There it did it.
Have your eyes wide open. Why were they open?
Strange. Might try cleaning that control and see if that goes away.
pitch fastball strike down the middle, and he said it. In this day and age,
there's not much middle ground on a lot of this on the ideas of either party.
So that's a good first test. I think we might take it off the Variac and go outside by the basement here and give her a full power test and see how she does. See what we can receive.
Cardiologist at Reed Heart and Vascular Center. Now through August, get your $29 heart scan at the location most convenient to you. 1100.
Red. R-E-D. Red. To 36500. And you can win your way in with tickets.
ERA down to 2.59. Mike Leake has just got, the radio. Let's go back. Let's treat it good then. All had a good time.
Butterfly bushes, clematis, hostas, cannas, and hardy hibiscus. Folks, you also know that we have pottery and bird bass by the semi-load, and we still have plenty of fruit.
Taking a loan in gold and silver, should you trust the biggest dealer, the expert, the quote-unquote best deal, the paid celebrity?
I feel that's how you embody hope. Friday night, see killcare.com. This afternoon,
Real production, Middle Air, Sunday at 8 a.m. and Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here on FM 107.5 and 270 fan. That's 101. That's Sound Radio.
This is Indy Sports Center, FM 5 and 10. The Fan. WFNI, WIBC HD2, W298BB, Indianapolis, The Ride with JMP.
I got nowhere else to go.
On FM 107.5 at 1070 The Fan.
Company may promise you it's fixed right, but is it really? At Wayside Collision Centers, our promise is always a guarantee. Call Wayside Collision Centers for a free estimate today.
Mostly cloudy and mild. The chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms at a low of 64. And we still have a pretty good chance of rain on Wednesday, although it doesn't look like a washout. We'll be mostly cloudy with a high near 80. I'm Storm Team 2 meteorologist Jamie Drosick, working for you with reliable and accurate severe storm coverage.
From the WONE studios in the heart of the Oregon District.
Job market as drivers of the demand. Economists hope it all points to a broader strengthening of the economy.
Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas. On Wall Street, the Dow lost a point. NASDAQ picked up 17. News is a service of Honda East.
And Stegman Landscaping. WLW Sports. This is the News Radio 700 WLW Reds update. It'll be Matt Latos up against Anderson Volquez tonight as the Reds and Padres meet in Game 2 of their series in San Diego. Latos looking for win number 11 of the season. Coverage begins at 6:05 with Sport Talk and the Royal Show Vacation Inside Pitch just past 9 right here on the big one. Bill Dennison, 700 WLW Sports.
Our next update at 5:30. I'm Jeff Henderson. News Radio 700 WLW.
700 WLW 506. Coming down the home stretch now, it's Dan Farrell and
Income, health, and home.
Glad you are with us. Final hour on a Tuesday. It's the Sean Hannity Show. Toll free. It's 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. And all right, so there's a big race in New York. What an arrogant tax. Fired someone.
says he'll report weather at 4.
Solid 5.
Utah.
He just an absolute utter collapse.